Hi, I'm Phil Curry, an independent researcher and advisor to Agribusiness. My career spans more than 45 years and includes sales, marketing, and senior executive roles in local, national, and multinational agribusiness firms. I was a certified management consultant specializing in agribusiness marketing and management for 25 years, and more recently, an academic at University of Queensland. You can see my experience on my YouTube channel if you wish. Shortly after accepting a position as lecturer in agribusiness in 2014, I was asked, with just 3 days' notice, to take responsibility for an undergraduate course on applied market research. I had no experience as a lecturer, and it would be the first time I had responsibility for teaching and assessing a university course. I was very fortunate to have come from a career in agribusiness, during which time I had completed a lot of research, which meant that I was able to help students understand the practical application of much of the theory. However, I had received absolutely no training whatsoever about how to be an effective teacher, so I did what I'm guessing any normal person would do and spent at least 2 full days to prepare for each 1 hour lecture that I delivered during the semester. You can be sure that by the end of the semester, my knowledge of market research had been enhanced considerably. The following year, I inherited the responsibility to co-lead a major agribusiness project in the Philippines. This project, over a period of a few years, provided an opportunity for me to visit the country more than 20 times. This allowed me to observe the learning processes that occurred. I remember with a great degree of fondness the time I spent with Filipino university research team members as we did our best to interview value chain actors to identify the best possible distribution channel alternatives for the fruit and vegetable farming communities that we were working with. As a management consultant for 25 years, I completed 400 separate assignments, including a lot of market research involving literally thousands of telephone calls by my research team, plus 2,000 semi-structured interviews in 25 countries undertaken by me personally for the purposes of learning for Australian clients. Can you see the pattern here? The problem, as I now understand it, is that it was me that was doing most of the learning. The purpose of this presentation is to explain why that is a problem and to suggest a process that can be employed in any situation where learning is an important process. This, of course, includes education, business, or communities focused on a particular interest. According to some authors, creating an organizational culture of learning provides the ultimate source of competitive advantage. This is because organizations that are continually identifying opportunities and threats and developing new technologies and processes are able to respond more quickly and more confidently than those that do not. As you can see in this slide, there are a small number of building blocks and a number of distinguishing characteristics that are the mark of a learning organisation, and to which senior management can aspire to achieve competitive advantage by creating a learning culture within their business. You can pause the video if you want to read the screen in more detail. If you know me, you know that my PhD research was on the topic of market orientation. There has been a substantial amount of research undertaken since the early 1990s on the topic of market orientation in firms of all sizes, industries and countries. Whilst I have obviously not read all of the research, I am absolutely convinced that market-oriented firms will outperform those that are not market-oriented in terms of sales, market share and profit. Even more importantly, firms that are market-oriented will have employees that are more committed and are happier because they feel as though they are part of the decision-making structure of the organisation. Just a quick reminder that market orientation consists of 3 activities. The first is that the organisation regularly collects information about the market, the competitive environment, and feedback from customers from formal and informal activities and channels. The second activity is that the information collected is shared across all departments within the organisation. That does not mean, of course, that every individual employee has the same access to the market intelligence, but it certainly does mean that personnel from all departments are involved in making sense of the information as it is collected. The third activity of market-oriented behaviour is that the firm responds in a timely and coordinated manner to the opportunities and threats identified. The regular input of market intelligence and the sharing across the firm allows the organisation to respond quickly, and this is a significant source of competitive advantage. Some researchers have reflected that a market-oriented firm is a learning organisation, and it is easy to see why they concluded this. As a consultant, I completed something like 400 individual consultancy assignments, so I have the experience across a wide range of organisations. I don't think I ever saw one that was not very good at learning from past experience and by figuring out what it should do as issues arose on a day-to-day basis. Of course, very few were terribly effective at predicting the future and planning their responses ahead of adverse events, but they certainly survived and provided employment for family members and others, even if they did not achieve the significant domestic or international growth that they really wanted. My relatively short career as an academic has given me the opportunity to read the research of others, to reflect on my own experience, which has allowed me to develop a model for a higher level of learning that, if adopted by an organisation, I believe will pay significant dividends in terms of growth, profit and employee morale. Whilst my own focus is on market orientation and marketing, there is no reason why it cannot be applied in other areas of the business, such as production, processing, and innovation. The process that I propose starts off with a deliberate decision by management to create one or more knowledge creation groups. I propose that these are a group of four, based on my experiences with small groups of students at UQ. This group, to use the correct terminology, is simply an action learning set. Its purpose is to focus on a single problem or discipline area, and it should be empowered and equipped to investigate anything that will help the organisation to better respond to the problem at hand. The knowledge creation group are employees that still have a job to do, but they will need to have time available to invest on their knowledge creation activities. My own experience tells me that there are many opportunities for learning that are underutilised in most organisations. These include proactive reflections, better use of the internet, seeking opinions from experts and other communities anywhere in the world, formal market research, and exchanging information with value chain partners. Even seeking the opinions of their own staff, as well as conducting trials and seeking advice from universities and spending time with customers and non-customers, are activities that many organisations do not always do well. I'm sure that there are other activities that knowledge creation groups will develop themselves in response to having the freedom to explore. Now this is where organisational culture comes in, and most organisations will need training, resources and support to change the way learning occurs if they are to really embrace learning for development and profit. The knowledge creation group is likely to need training in data collection and analysis, and the business may need support as it adjusts the culture to support the enhanced learning environment and to ensure the organisation's leadership reinforces learning and allows the group to develop and practice concrete learning processes. These are the characteristics that will result in the competitive advantage required to produce superior market positioning, sales and profit. As you can see from the model, the knowledge creation group is not a decision-making entity. Instead, it shares what it learns with others in the organisation, just as the model of market orientation describes, so that the wisdom and insights from all departments can inform decision-making based on the evidence provided by the knowledge creation group. By adopting the approach described in this model, businesses can enhance the way they create knowledge. It does not replace the knowledge gained from past experience, culture, and traditional knowledge. It simply provides an additional, probably very rich, stream of information that, with trial and usage, can become knowledge and part of an organisation's culture. You might ask whether your organisation is appropriate to consider the model that I propose. I think it can apply in any organisation. I've certainly had substantial experience within Australian businesses and believe the model is appropriate for any and all types. I've also had considerable experience in developing country projects where we were tasked with improving livelihoods and believe this model has significant potential to change the way livelihood aid projects are delivered. And whilst I have no experience, I suspect this model could benefit not-for-profit and First Nations communities as well. Thank you for watching this presentation. If you would like to discuss its application further, please give me a call and let me know.